Hello, Rama Rama Pupodu. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a nice and peaceful life. Now let's go to chapter 39 Srinagar-Amritsar, a perilous venture. From Virbai Singh's kuti, Ramdas was escorted to Shambhunath House in Amirakadal, in the main bazaar of Srinagar. Shambhunath's father, mother, and other relations treated him with great kindness and love. He stopped with them for about a fortnight. In the course of his stay, he expressed to Shambhunath that God willed that he should climb up the highest mountain in the range at the front of the cave of Sri Shankaracharya Hill. The idea of hill climbing appealed to Shambhunath's imagination. He also proposed to accompany Ramdas on the trip. So one early morning, both started on the adventure. Shambhunath armed himself with thermo flask filled with tea and also a small bag containing biscuits, loaves of bread, butter and fruits. As far as the foot of the hill, they travelled by motor car. Now they commenced the ascent. They took a path along the greatest incline and ascended higher and higher, keeping in view the peak they had to reach. From the ground level, the summit did not appear to be of a very great height. But now, as they went up, they discovered that the summit seemed to be as high up as ever. 7 hills, one after the other, were passed, and at last they came to the bottom of the peak they had to ultimately attain. Up to the end of the 4th hill, they had walked on a rough beaten path, but further on there was no track. They had to make their way through thickets and gorges and pass over rugged rocks. Except a couple of jackals who took to flight at the sight of them, they met no other animals. Now the highest peak to be climbed had to be scaled either spirally, an easier method, or right up vertically. Ramdas adopted the latter course. He scrambled up using the dense growth of brown grass as handhold, followed by Shambhunath. When they went up about halfway up the slope, Ramdas came upon a small, smooth rock to which he lifted himself and perching on it saw the friend behind struggling to keep pace with him, his face flushed with excitement. Her look down into the valley below presented a rare and marvelous scene. From that dizzy height, a wide and terribly deep chasm was yawning at their feet. As Shambhunath neared, Ramdas could not help exclaiming, "Ram, look below! What a magnificent sight!" When Shambhunath turned his head to see for a moment, he cried out helplessly, "Swamiji, I'm gone! Hold on, hold! I am slipping!" And he stretched forward his arms, which Ramdas immediately grasped with both hands and with a superhuman strength pulled him up bodily onto the rock on which he was sitting. Shambhunath now rested his eyes closed for about 5 minutes before he recovered from the faintness. "Swamiji," he then said, "please don't ask me to look down at the back again." A glimpse of the inspiring and enormous depth turned me giddy, and but for you, I should have rolled down the mountain to my sure destruction. They ascended higher still and steadily progressed through the tall grass that grew luxuriantly on the mountain, and at last arrived at the summit. The time was now about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They sat down on the grass and leisurely took a view of Kashmir from the tremendous height. What Ramdas saw from there beggars description. It was the vision of the infinite expanse of space and the dim outlines of mountains looming in the distance. The extensive valley of Kashmir, scintillating with its innumerable glassy lakes, relieved by vast areas of green verdure and vegetation. Shambhunath was cheerful and lively. Although tired, he opened the screw cap of the thermos and the bag of eatables, and they both did hearty justice to the hard-earned tiffin. They rested for about half an hour. Shambhunath now suggested that they should make haste for their return journey, since they had to reach town before dark. It was proposed that they should descend by a different way, especially by a slope, which looked tempting as it appeared to be one which could take them to the bottom easily and in short time. They then quickly descended the incline and came to the brink of a precipice, which shut off their further progress downwards. They turned to another adjoining slope of the mountain and climbed down only to meet with a similar precipice. They took their course in a third direction, where they helped themselves down by holding onto the branches of trees that grew densely. Still, their path was cut off yet another vertical cliff. Here, Ramdas, seeing some roots projecting out on the wall of the cliff, attempted to go down by their aid when Shambhunath intervened and said, Swamiji, I cannot follow you that way. Do give up the path. Ramdas had to abandon the attempt. By this time, the evening was fast approaching, beckoning the night. Clothed in a dark mantle, Ramdas and the friend rested for some minutes beneath the trees. Swamiji, suppose we can't find the way down the hill. What are we to do? Questioned Shambhunath. Why, of course, we shall stop here for the night, replied Ramdas. Oh, he exclaimed, I cannot do that in this horrible place. I am afraid of wild animals. It is time for them to come out of their lays. Swamiji, let us try to find out the old way in which we came up. By the way by which they had ascended was also lost. They were caught in the perplexing undulations of the vast chain of mountains. They roamed up and down in search of the old path for over half an hour, but without success. And all the while Shambhuna was growing excited and anxious. At last they found themselves on the rough beaten path. When he saw it, Shambhunath's joy knew no bounds. With uncontrollable delight, he leapt and danced and burst out, Swamiji, you are indeed my God. You have brought me to the path. Let us hurry up. Now Shambhunath raced down the path like a horse at full gallop. He took perilous jumps on the way. He was reckless and wild. Ramdas ran close behind him. The sun had set. Darkness was steadily encroaching upon the twilight. When they neared the base of the mountains, they swerved to their left and came upon some old ruins, where they rested for 5 minutes and then went down to the road near a famous spring of Kashmir called Chashma Shahi. They proceeded to the spring and drank to their fill. The water of this spring is reputed to possess marvelous medicinal and healing properties. Rich people and invalids arranged to have this water for drinking purposes. Now they retraced their steps to the city. Halfway they met Shambhunath's motor car, which was coming to fetch them. They jumped into it, and by 7:30 they reached Shambhunath's residence. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupoda.